Well, next, it's really a very high honor for me to introduce our next speaker, Daoud Nassar. Daoud grew up in a family of 9 children, and they work their farm in ways that are life-giving and sustainable. He has a bachelor's degree in biblical studies from Bethlehem Bible College, a bachelor's degree in business from Bethlehem University, and a degree in tourism from management from university in Germany. Daoud, we're so excited to be with you again. We saw you a couple of years ago, and it's a happy day today. So we're glad to talk to you, and please, would you update us on anything that's happened since March, since the video was created in March? And I'll turn it over to you. Please take it away.
Well, thank you so much. Everyone, good afternoon, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be with you today and to take you with me on a journey that is totally different, bringing you to our farm that has a long history and a family tradition. As we saw in the short video, how we are connected with the land, because this land was a gift that was given by my grandparents to my father and uncle. And of course, the gift is always connected with a responsibility, but sometimes it is like a burden too. In our case, when the land was bought in the 1916, which was Palestine was under the Ottoman rule, and the situation was not that easy, was getting more difficult. But my father and uncle were happy to get a gift from their parents that they could continue working on it for their future and future of their generations to come. In the early 20s and of course the 30s, the situation was getting more difficult. So my father and uncle were facing a big challenge, what to do with this gift. Should we sell it? Should we take it like it is and leave it that way? Or should we continue with the message and with the hope that was invested from their parents? So the first struggle started for them, of course, in 1936, when people came to the farm and uprooted more than 25,000 great trees. It was the end of their future at that time. And of course, this was a big challenge for them, but they decided to continue. Of course, the situation was not that easy in 1948 and later on in the 50s, but my father and uncle continued their journey, and they stayed in caves, protecting their land until they passed away. And we, the third generation, we grew up with the same way, connected with the land. And of course, we wanted to continue. We received this gift, and we want to continue to do the best out of this gift and make it a place and a hope for the generations to come. Of course, it was not that easy for us, because since 1991, we are struggling to keep this farm from the danger of confiscation after the Israeli authorities declared it as state land, because the land is located in the middle of 5 settlements, and it is the only hilltop in our area that is without a settlement. So we managed to bring this case to the court. So we went to the military court to prove ownership, and things were they made it more difficult for us. And then in 2002, we brought it to the Supreme Court. And after some years, the Supreme Court returned it to the military authorities, requesting that we should be able to re-register the land, because it is a private property and we have the documentations for that. Now, in 2007, we started the process of re-registration. And then some years later, they said that we did not submit enough documents. And then we started another process in 2013. And then they said, well, we lost the papers, we lost the file. And then in 2015, we started the third process. And in 2019, after a couple of years, we received a positive answer that we can start, or the papers are complete, we can start the process. So we did our part, and in February 2021, the registration committee, they met to discuss our case and how they want to proceed. But until now, we did not receive any answer how we should continue with this process. So while we are waiting for an answer, the attacks continued. So we had a big fire in May 2021, destroying more than 1,000 trees. Also, we have in June incursion where we lost the military authorities destroyed about 50 olive trees, and the struggle is going on until today. So as I said in this short video, what to do in this difficult situation? Should we sit down and cry, or should we fight, or should we flee, run away from all those challenges? We said none of those options are good for us. We started to think differently, and we started the fourth way, we call it here, which is a non-violent way of resistance based on our faith, because we said from the beginning, we cannot overcome evil with more evil. We have to do it the other way, with good. We cannot overcome hatred with more hatred. We have to do it, we have to overcome hatred with love. And we cannot overcome darkness with more darkness. We have to overcome darkness with light. And we started a non-violent way of resistance based on our faith under the slogan, we refuse to be enemies. And it is for us the fourth way, which is, by the way, which is the most difficult one. Acting differently is not easy. So we have to be transformed. So we have to believe in what we are doing. And that's why, and before we started this way, we said four things that became our principles. Of course, they are easy said, but difficult to practice. The first thing we said, we refuse to be victims, although we have the right to be victims in this situation. But we wanted to move ourselves out of this victim mentality in order to say we believe in ourselves and we are able to make a difference. And standing up and acting differently. The second thing we said, we refuse to hate, and no one can force us to hate. With hatred, people would destroy themselves. And we believe that all people are created in the image of God, and they are not created to hate each other. So in every human being, there is something good and something bad. We want to respect the good, but not to accept the bad. We have to stand up and act for justice. The third thing we said, we are acting differently, not because it's a strategy or it is a new way of life. No, it is based on our faith, which is the center of our way of nonviolent resistance. And fourthly, we are people who believe in justice, and we believe that one day the Son of Justice will rise again. So those are four principles that are important and that give us hope and encouragement to continue the journey, although the journey is too long and too difficult, too complicated, but we said we can continue. And we started to see all the challenges that we are facing as opportunity, as something that we are able to deal with and transform it and change it into a positive way. We started to see ourselves differently. We started to see the other people also differently. And we started also to feel committed and responsible for God's creation, to keep this planet that God gave us as a gift. So we started to see all our difficulties and challenges as small obstacles. As I said in the video, we are located in an area that is completely under Israeli military control. We have no access on the farm for electricity, water, and a building permit. But we started to think more differently, and also started to find solutions to our problems. So for electricity, we installed a solar power system. For water, we are depending on rainwater. And also we started renovating the existing caves on the farm. And we started to use those facilities and to use the farm as a space, as a place for people to come and see and go and tell. Because the gift that we receive, we wanted to give to other people. We want to invite them to see, to hear our story, but go back home encouraged to play a positive part in shaping their societies. We have different kinds of activities on the farm. Of course, our activities had stopped since the pandemic, since March 2021. We do always a tree planting campaign, harvest camps, and also we work with people, which is very important because land and people are our concern. So we want to invest in the new generation. And one of the activities or programs we do is the children summer camps. We invite about 50 children from Bethlehem area and from refugee camps, and we focus on creativity, music, and the idea is to open a space for children to see themselves differently, not just to be blocked by all the negatives that are around them, but to see opportunities, to give them a way to dream, to think positively by discovering their talents, by focusing on their positives, and by believing in themselves. I am able to stand up and shape my future. We have also a women empowerment project run by my wife, Jihan, who started this project in 2005 with women in the villages that have no chances for education. She offered them computer classes, English classes, agricultural training, first aid courses, and again, it's not about education, it is about empowerment. Everyone is important and everyone can contribute for a better future, even with small steps. And this is exactly what we want to achieve with what we are doing at the Tent of Nations. So we are hosting hundreds of volunteers every year, except for this year and last year, of course. And in 2019, for example, 13,000 people, international guests, visited the farm. And for us, it is a way, to change the difficult situation into a blessing for us, but also for other people, because we want the people, we want our family, we want our guest groups that come and visit us, not just to experience the negatives, but also to say, in the middle of darkness, in the middle of this dark tunnel, the candle is still burning. There is hope for a better future. And this better future cannot be given to us as a gift. We need to shape it. And we need to do whatever we can. And whatever we cannot achieve, we need to invest in the new generation. And I always say the journey will continue, but always with faith, with love, and hope. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daoud. As you know, it's farm country here where our branch is located, and we know that farming is tough enough, especially organic farming like you folks do. And then without sponsoring women's conferences and children's camps and hosting 13,000 guests a year, and then to do it without a ready source of water, electricity, without the ability to build structures for rest and gathering. So we are inspired by your story, by overcoming darkness with light. And I know folks will have questions and appreciate you staying with us to take those questions. Our next presenter is Virginia Wadsley. Virginia is an Iowa girl who did community organizing with low-income community that was being displaced in Atlanta, Georgia. She has also authored several books and is active with social justice issues. And she captains our Ton of Hope book projects team. And Virginia, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, I want to thank Jan for sharing. My computer is on the blink, and so we're doing double duty here at Jan's house. Welcome to all of you. We're so pleased that you could join in this presentation with us today and to meet Daoud for the first time, or to be with him again if you have already met him. We are so pleased today to be able to help share the story of Tent of Nations, and what our local team is doing has just been a real privilege, in which we are able to share and work with Tent of Nations, and also to learn from their experience and their philosophy. It's a real privilege for us. This all started here in Des Moines when Daoud visited and spoke here one evening in November of 2019 while he was on a tour through the rest of Iowa. After his presentation, several WILPF and WILPF, which is the Middle East Peace and Education Coalition, our local group, met with Daoud for dinner. And as we were talking, sort of an offhand comment was made that maybe we should do a children's book. Well, Daoud picked up on this right away, and we began giving serious consideration to the thought. And by the time the evening was over, we had decided to create a local group that would work on the dream of creating a children's book. And from there, the project has evolved. We formed the Ton of Hope book team right away, and have just been inspired and learning and dreaming and brainstorming and getting direction from Daoud since then. Next slide. The book now, as now conceived, will be a book of, by, and for the children of Palestine. And Daoud and also the video talked about the children's camp. The content for the book will come from the camp next summer in 2022. As part of the process, our team here in Des Moines will be sending several volunteers to attend the camp. And these volunteers will assist with the activities of the camp, gather materials for the book, and then bring the content back to the States when they return. Throughout the last year and a half or so, we've been working very closely with Daoud and his family to brainstorm about the different kinds of activities that the children might have for the camp. So we're very excited about the possibility of working with this. There are three real big goals that Daoud has really shared with you. The children are so traumatized, and here's an opportunity to have a safe and enjoyable experience at the camp. And then, because so much of their learning has been just rote learning, we're hoping to help them learn to think creatively and critical thinking. And then through their participation, as Daoud just expressed a bit ago, empowering the children to feel that they have something to contribute, that they can make a difference in their own lives. Next slide. The book is anticipated to also reflect the Tent of Nations story and principles. And again, it will reinforce what Daoud has been sharing with us about the deep relationship with the land that is our mother, that sustains us, about overcoming all the obstacles and then seizing the opportunities. And the themes that have been playing out that we're working with are, I am not a victim, I can dare to dream. And if I dream, maybe my dreams don't come true, but I can find ways to deal with that. What do I have to contribute? I am a person with a lot in me, and I can discover that. I'm not alone, we work together. The idea of a mosaic has been very important concept at 10 of Nations, where each individual has their own unique place in the whole picture, and together, working together, they make a strong and beautiful picture. And then, of course, the land and its care is very basic to it all. Next slide. We have kind of followed the pattern in planning for the summer camp in 2022. We followed the pattern of previous camps. We anticipate there will be a farm tour where the children get a full view of what the farm is about. They'll see the recycling water cisterns, the compost toilets. They'll learn to identify objects and plants and animals on the farm. They'll be doing arts and crafts, drawing and painting, perhaps a memory book or journal, maybe little news flashes or a little newsletter might come out of this. And of course, that would be in the creative writing capacity. For music, you've seen what beautiful musicians Daoud's daughters are, and they will be working with the camp, leading singing, teaching songs, both from Palestine and nationally, perhaps using homemade instruments such as kitchen pots and pans to beat the rhythm, maybe writing some of their own songs. There'll be dance, perhaps the dakba from Palestine or other international dances. Food preparation has been a popular experience where the children make food using local ingredients or recipes. And of course, pizza is always popular. And then performance. They could do role playing to act out some of their feelings and experiences, or use puppets for the same situation. And on the final day of the camp, the parents are invited and the children give a performance of all they have been doing at the camp. So again, this empowers the children to express themselves. Next slide. I think you'll see some familiar things here on this slide. We refuse to be enemies, faith, love, hope, the four principles that are grounded in action. We refuse to be victims, we refuse to hate, we act out our faith, and we seek justice. And these are the foundation of 10 of Nations, and we feel that this is what the children will gain from it and be able to pass on to others. And in the face of all of this is samud, which is steadfast persistence in the face of everything. We keep going, and perhaps that's even the strongest message from 10 of Nations. Next slide. Looking ahead now, where we are now, we've kind of done the planning, so now we've got to get down to the basics of selecting and orienting the volunteers who will be attending the camp next summer. And then they will return with the book content, and part of our planning will be what sort of things we should be looking for to bring back to the States. Once back in the States, we will be doing the book design, layout, and actually publishing the book. It'll be more or less, we're not sure just how that's going to happen, but it'll be more or less self-published rather than a commercial publication, because we want it to be a gift to people. First of all, for the children to take back to their friends and family and say, we did this. And then it goes to volunteers and visitors to 10 of Nations. And then we feel that it will be shared through various organizations around the world. We anticipate that it will be translated into several different languages and be widely available. So we hope by the end of next year, this will be a reality. Of course, to do all of this, fundraising always raises its head. And we really will need funds for two areas, one to support the volunteers going to Palestine and one for actually publishing the book. And we're optimistic that we might raise more money than these actual costs are. And if so, all of that funding will go to the 10 of Nations. Next slide. When published, the children's book will be the 5th book that 10 of Nations is published. The first one was Daoud's Vineyard, which Daoud wrote, which gives the full story and history of 10 of Nations and some family background, as well as the whole philosophy and principles. We Refuse to Be Enemies, 10 of Nations is more of a picture book that basically has the same kind of content. The other two you see on the screen were published by the women's group that Jihan works with. And where I am from is poetic stories by women telling about their lives and where they're from and what their lives are like. And I suspect as the children's book will have many of the same themes as that. And then, of course, food is always very basic, and the women have shared their recipes with us. You'll be able to find these books at the Fotana organization, and we encourage you to get them and read them. Next slide. Here is the team leader. Isn't she a sweet girl? There's the hope in the children. Our team has, again, as I say, been very privileged to be able to work on this project with Daoud and his family, and with Beth and the people at Fotana and everyone concerned. Madeline Bjork is a recent Drake graduate who has both international and publishing experience. I think she's just presently back from Egypt and will be in Bulgaria this coming year. Jan, you have met, and Sammy, you have met. Kim Elvarudi is Sammy's wife, and she is very much involved with the project, and professionally is an insurance agent with her own business. Sammy's daughter, Madeline, also works with us. She is very involved with theater and performance, so we really value her input on that. Marianne Koch is a retired school teacher who also has an artistic bent and has lots of creative ideas about children's plans, and you've met me now. So that's our team. We're working very much with the ideas of seeds and trees, which play a lot into our thinking about what kinds of analogies on the farm relate to the children. And that's pretty much where we are now. We invite your questions, and I'll turn it back to Jan.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Virginia. Next, we'll turn it over to Sammy, and who has been trying at least to keep track of the questions. And Sammy, we appreciate it. We know this is a busy time with school starting and all the prep work you've been doing. So we appreciate you being here today, and thanks for moderating the questions. And I'll turn it over to you for that.
Absolutely. I believe, because I was running the PowerPoint, I probably got a little behind on some of the questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read the questions that I have, and then trying to catch up with the questions that are there. I'm keeping them on a sheet here. So the first question early on was, how can I financially support this farm? Is it okay to tell other people about it, or would that put them at risk? So I'll leave that. I think we have it answered, but I'll leave that out there for right now.
Yeah, I think Beth answered some of that through Fotana, and we're going to show at the end, we're going to show how to get a hold of Fotana. I think that'd be the answer, unless you have something you want to share, else you want to add.
Well, yeah, thank you. But yeah, maybe Beth will speak more about later on how to support the project, what ways you can do. So Beth will do that. Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I'll just respond right now. You can make a donation to FOTANA, Friends of 10 of Nations North America, and the website and will contain the address to which you can send that donation, and then we get that donation to Daoud. And it certainly does not do any harm to share this story with other people, and again, both FOTANA and Tent of Nations independently, there are two websites, and both of those websites are a good place to introduce people to the story.
All right, thank you guys. I have caught up on the questions, so they're all on one sheet now. I'm kind of excited. The next question, can WILPF with 10 of Nations lead a congressional tour of the 10 of Nations farm whose congressional participation we voters and constituents can pressure and demand?
Do you want me to respond out, or do you want to talk about a little bit about what's going on now?
Yeah, maybe you can do that, Beth.
Okay. I was kind of looking at the questions at the same time, and I noticed there was another one about advocacy, I think. Do we engage in advocacy? And yes, right now, partly very much at Daoud's request, we engage at advocacy. And so right now we are in the midst of work to connect with congressional folks, particularly to tell the story, but also the story about the delay in the re-registration, with the hope that these Congress people will be in touch with the State Department, asking them to have that kind of action. Again, if you are interested in looking at the alert that we sent out, by we, I mean FOTANA, you can go to the FOTANA website and look under updates from the farm. I think that's where you'll find it. Sometimes it may seem to you that we're being rather opaque with our communications, but part of that is very intentional. and so sometimes it's hard to find them. But again, if you'd like to be on a regular contact where you're receiving information from us about these kinds of things, we are certainly glad to add you to our email list. So in terms of the question of a congressional delegation, there have been visits in the past from people from the U.S. Embassy, and I think Daoud is working on making that connection again so that we might have visits from officials from the embassy at some point again. Daoud, do you want to say anything more about that, or?
Yeah, thank you, Beth. Well, like of course, the international awareness is very important for us, this support. I always say like three things are important that go parallel to one another, which is to react legally, so to continue with the legal issues, to change the ground, to work the land, but also to invite internationals and to raise internationally, because this is a big support to keep us going as a farm there, in terms of like protecting the land from the danger of confiscation. So international political support is needed here. Also, like when we do speaking tours, we try also to get in touch with Congress members, if possible, with senators or with staff. And the idea is again to make our voices being heard there.
I would also like to add, I'm the treasurer for the Des Moines Education Association, and Iowa has really struggled with educational funding. And one of the challenges we face is when we have our legislative lobby days is our friends come to visit and share, and the people who don't want to support us don't. I think the question, the way I took it was, how do we pressure the people who don't understand what's happening to come and start understanding what's happening? And that's a hard thing to do. If we're good, I'll go to the next question. The next question is, Peace Now, which I represent abroad, is trying to help the thousands of residents of the neighborhoods of Sheikh Jarrah and Silwan in East Jerusalem who are fighting to keep their homes. Are you in touch with Peace Now?
Well, yes, there are also other peace activists inside Israel who are supporting the Palestinians also legally. And of course, this is something that is very important because those people, they need also to spread out the issue of Palestinians within their communities and the issue of justice. Because also many Israelis, they do not want to know maybe what is really happening. And that's why organizations like Peace Now and others are trying to do something in that direction, which is also very good and appreciated.
Excellent. Thank you, Daoud. Next question. Are some of your participants, at least before the pandemic, Jewish or Israeli?
No, we focus mainly on, in our programs with Palestinian children and women. We are not making any dialogue because this is not the time. And also, having dialogue must be done on a level where both sides can see each other, looking into one another, into their eyes, on the same eye level, which is really not the reality right now. But very important is to raise awareness, and very important for us is to encourage our own young people to stand up and act in a different way and act positively. So the focus is mainly on Palestinian children, but also we have, for example, internationals, for example, Jewish, American Jewish came to the farm and visited the farm, and also one time after the military destructed trees, they came and helped in planting new trees. Those kinds of activities let us say support is very important because it shows the solidarity. And again, their role is to go back home and spread out the word and try to make a difference in their own communities and change the reality there.
Excellent, thank you. Next question, maybe more for Beth. District 4 Congress member David Price would like to have a Ten of Nations supporter join our diverse delegation. How can we connect with supporters who may live in North Carolina?
Yes, I did text Miriam and we'll be in touch. And so if anybody else has got congressional meetings set up in the next couple of weeks, particularly where that there is sympathy towards what is happening in Palestine and the Palestinian voice, those are the ones we're trying to focus on. So please be in touch and we'll work on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Daoud, this next question is for you. Would you speak about Samud as a nonviolent form of resistance and the Palestinian Arab tradition of Sulha?
Samud is actually, it's steadfastness, but also moving forward, because it's not passive. It's not just to stand and say, okay, I am, an Assamid, I am standing. No, it needs also to have a plan how we could move forward, to act, let us say, to be active. It's like acting, not just standing, but also acting. Sulha means, this is an Arab tradition, which is when people from different families, they have some issues, the elderly could come together and, solve this issue among them, and that's it, Of course, I believe that those are two different things, Reconciliation or sulha is based on recognizing the right of the other, like also admitting that I did a mistake, I did something wrong, and this is what sulha means, I did something wrong, or the other side did something wrong, and we are put together to talk about it and solve it, but at the same time we are standing on the same ground, we are on the like looking to one another on the eye level, so steadfastness is actually like sumud, which is standing up against this injustice, but also in a positive way. So it's not sulha, but it is like moving forward, but firmly, with positivity.
Excellent, thank you. Pardon my pronunciation on this next question. I'm sure I'll make some mistakes. Is there a possible to talk with Father Elias Shakur, Archbishop retired, to interface with the U.S. congressional entities, as he did with building the multicultural high school he started in Bethlehem, I believe?
Yes, actually, Father Elias Shakur visited our farm in 2000 and I guess 17 or 18 because we got a peace award from the Methodist Church, and the first Palestinian who got it actually was Elias Shakur, the Bishop Elias Shakur. So we are, the 10 nations received this peace award as the second Palestinian. And so he came also and gave a talk at the 10 nations. So we are in touch with him. And of course, we are proud of what he were able to achieve in a difficult situation. At the same time, he is within Israeli territory from 1948, and we are in the occupied Palestinian territory, which is 67.
Excellent.
Sammy, could I ask you maybe to take one more so that we can, we're getting, our time is kind of running short here, so.
I have 2 very quick questions left. I think if we can get through those pretty quickly, but I can do one and we'll see where we are.
Okay.
The next question, is there any advocacy for you in the settlements? Do you have any friends there?
No.
Well, that was easy.
Well, the problem is the settlements are illegal according to the international law, so it's those people are coming from different countries and being give them the opportunity to live on Palestinian ground and have all the facilities. And for example, our farm is located in the middle of those settlements where they have swimming pools and all facilities, and the farm does not have drinking water. So there is a big injustice that is happening there.
Thank you. And Jan, I have one more quick question if you want me to go ahead and ask it.
Yeah, please do.
Very quick. It's just, have you been influenced at all by the history of Gandhi or other peace philosophers?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yes, of course, but we cannot copy and paste. Of course, we learn also from Gandhi, from Martin Luther King, from other. Also, for us, for me personally, it's also from my faith as a Christian. Also, Jesus was also a non-violent activist. And most of his message was also to resist the empire in a different way, and this is something that we should learn from. But at the same time, of course, learning from different perspectives, but we need also to go our own path and develop our own way of nonviolent resistance.
Thank you. Sammy, I just found out that we've got a little bit more time. Do you see another question that we should ask?
I do not have any more questions. What I was going to do quickly was go ahead and see if I could upload the contact list, since that's something that we
Okay.
had talked about doing. If anyone has a
Yeah.
question and wants to go ahead and shout it out, I think we could go ahead and open the microphone for the time left, if that works for everyone.
I want to thank Sammy for moderating the questions and also for the wonderful answers from Daoud and Beth, and for the wonderful questions. So thank you. Thank you very much. Just want to run down these real quick. You've got 10 of Nations there, and how to get a hold of 10 of Nations, their website, and also Daoud's email. And then Shadn and Nardine's Facebook page, and that's the music that you heard at the very beginning. I know that Beth has put some of this in the chat already, but please think about contacting her if you'd like to get something similar to this in your part of the world, or you'd like to go to see Daoud in Palestine. All those things are available to us to check out. The Mideast Peace Education Coalition, just want to do a shout out for it. Our 2 chairs are listed here, and we do a lot of activities. Some are just fun. We did a Palestinian food dinner, wonderful Palestinian food and just music, and had a good time. So that's, we wanted you to have contact with MEPEC. That's our Facebook page too. And then our Ton of Hope book team, Virginia certainly is available for questions, and so is Sammy. So we wanted you to have that information also. And I want to go ahead and bring us to close. I've got a poem that I want to share.
Can I just add one thing for Jan, if you don't mind?
Please, sure.
Very quickly, I was just going to say, one of the things we've talked about, obviously fundraising is challenging, and you want to make sure you do it in a way that is appropriate and honors the wishes of those who are doing the work. I believe we're doing our fundraising. It's not finalized yet, but through MEPEC will be where we, I believe, collect our funds and then can be distributed as necessary. I know direct donations to Fontana and on to 10 of Nations are greatly appreciated and very, very important.
For the book.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Sammy. And I just saw a question pop up. Daoud, wondering if you get any help in any sustenance or anything from the UN. I'm trying to think of the name of that agency that has
Well,
some
the
funding.
like the UN is doing more of like work among people, refugees. Of course, like yeah, they receive many reports about human rights issues in our area. But the thing is, we do not see that much of a change on the ground.
Thank you, Daoud. So I'm going to close with this poem that I think you'll find a good one. So it's Think About the Other, and it is by Mahmoud Darwish. When you are making your breakfast, think about the others. Don't forget those who make peace. Think about the others. Don't forget the food for the doves. When you are making your wars, think about the others. Don't forget about those who make peace. When you are paying your water bills, don't forget those who drink from the clouds. When you are returning to your home, think about the others. Don't forget those who live in tents. When you are sleeping and counting the stars, think about the others. There are some who can't find a place to sleep. When you are giving your spirit a space to fly, think about the others. Think about those who lost their right for words. When you are thinking about the others, the distant others, think about yourself and say, I wish I were a candle in the dark.